best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on the channel, here you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a ballaholic. I'm absolutely addicted to basketball. Now, for those that don't know, this right here is going to be a new series where I'm trying to do like a live show, and we're going to be discussing the 2021. I'm going to be giving my predictions for the Eastern Conference. Now, for those that are new to my live streams, if you have questions, save your questions to the end of the show. What we'll be doing is a Q&A session at the end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going from the top all the way to the bottom. Or should I say from the bottom all the way to the top. We're going to start with number 15, and we're going to go all the way to the number 1 seed. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. Listen, the Eastern Conference, man, is loaded. The Eastern Conference is loaded. And we got to start right from the bottom. And actually, for those who may have missed it, actually, hold on. Let me make sure we got a good signal out there. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Trade deadline. Right. Let me get a 1. Okay, we got a 1. All right, perfect. So you can hear me. Good, good. All right, so let's go and jump right into this, man. The Eastern Conference predictions, I'm putting it on wax because, see, a lot of times it's easy for people to come out there and give a prediction or to say what they feel, but then they don't really stand on it, right? That's not me. I'm gonna stand on it. I'm gonna make it known. This is how I feel, and I'm gonna put it on wax. So if I'm right or wrong, we're gonna see. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. Let me turn this off. All right, let's get into this right now. All right, perfect. So starting at number 15 with the last seed, the worst team in the Eastern Conference, I'm going with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavs, they do have a big man in Andre Drummond, as we know, but I'm going to be honest with you. The guards, even though I love, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, that's not going to get it done. They're still too young, just not good enough in the Eastern Conference. So I got the Cleveland Cavaliers coming in at 15. Now, coming in at number 14, I got the Charlotte Hornets. Now, as I told people before, I think Charlotte Hornets had one of the best drafts, and I love getting the addition of LaMelo Ball. But we just got breaking news that Gordon Hayward, unfortunately, he's going to miss some time. Now, he's out indefinitely. We don't know necessarily to the extent of his injury, but that's a major blow for this young Charlotte Hornets team. It's got a lot of talent, but I got to put the Charlotte Hornets team at 14 as they're still rebuilding, but don't sleep on LaMelo Ball because he's my prediction for winning Rookie of the Year and being the best player out of this 2020 draft. Now, let's move on to the number 13. I got the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls and the Hornets would have been flip-flopped had the injury to Gordon Hayward not happened. So I got to be honest there. I'm not really high on the Chicago Bulls. Now, I like the young talent. Obviously, Zach LaVine, you got to give him a lot of credit for his talent. Laura Markkanen, Wendell Carter Jr. So I like Kobe White. So I like their talent. And, some will question, I've questioned the drafting of Patrick Williams. We'll see how that fans out. I'm putting the Chicago Bulls as of today as number 13 in the Eastern Conference. Now, let's move on to number 12. Number 12, we got the New York Knicks. Just kind of also say, even though I'm breezing through these right now, when we start getting into the top 8, I'll go a little bit more into depth. But I want to get through these lottery teams because, to be honest with you, they really don't matter. So, number 12, we got the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks, I see where they're trying to go. I like the Obi Toppin pickup. They got some young guys, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. So I like some of the talent. I think they need some vets, though. I know we know they've been shopping and hunting for stars, but they haven't gotten it yet. So the Knicks right now, even though I like the potential, I still got to put them in number 12. Coming in at number 11, I got the Detroit Pistons. Now, the Detroit Pistons are a team that went out and drafted a whole bunch of big men. They did sign Jeremy Grant, even though I think they kind of overpaid for him a little bit. You got Blake Griffin still there. So the Detroit Pistons, they're in that floundering area. You know what I'm saying? Where they've got some talented pieces, but it's just not really coming together well. So I'm not really high on the Detroit Pistons, though I think the talent will be good enough to make them a lottery team, just not necessarily the worst of the worst, if that makes sense. Also, keep in mind, for those who are in the comment section, keep in mind, actually, I'm sorry, I said Detroit was 11, I believe I said. So if you have questions, be sure to save your questions to the end, because I will get to all the questions at the end. But right now, before we go into this top 10, get the likes up, fellas. Let's go ahead and get this likes up. Share this on your social media. We're about to jump into the top 10 teams in the Eastern Conference. But before we do, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now. We want to get these likes up as high as possible so that the YouTube algorithm will share this. So if you want to donate to the channel and you don't have money, this is a free way that you can donate. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Let's build this Ballaholic nation, all right? Now, let's go ahead and jump right into number 10. Number 10, I got the Orlando Magic. Now, the Orlando Magic are a team, the last couple of years, they just barely snuck into the playoffs. And they actually had a pickup in getting Cole Anthony in the draft that I actually liked. It was a kind of a sleeper pick because his talent level could have been top 5, but I think going to North Carolina may have really hurt him, so he kind of dropped in the standings. Now, of course, he had an injury in North Carolina. I have to, mention that as well. But when it comes to this team, they're going to be led by their big man, Nikola Vucevic. Still got Aaron Gordon, who's got a lot of talent. So they've got some pieces, they got some talent. But as I said at the start of this video, the East has gotten much better. And with the East getting better, I think the Orlando Magic is going to actually find themselves out of the playoffs. Now, keep in mind as well, in this new NBA world that we're in, where there's no fans, we're coming off of a bubble season, there's going to be a play-in tournament at the end of the season where teams 7 through 10 are going to be battling for those last 2 playoff spots. So the Orlando Magic, I'm putting them in at number 10, and even though I don't think they'll be a top 8 seed, they have the potential of fighting their way into the playoffs, but we have to see how that plays out. Remember, these are just preseason predictions, a lot of change, and as we go on in the season, I'll definitely be updating my predictions, but as of right now, I got Orlando at number 10. Now, coming in at number 9, this may be a surprise to people. This is a team that I think definitely, by far, has the talent to be a playoff team. But as you can see, I'm projecting them to be number 9 and falling right outside of the top 8. That's the Indiana Pacers. Listen, Indiana with Victor Oladipo's health questions, the talent is there for him. But he's had some inconsistent seasons from a health standpoint. Sabonis, Miles Turner. They've got, what's my young guy's name? Malcolm Brogdon. So they've got a lot of talent over there. But once again, man, the East is loaded. And the 8 teams that I'm about to get into, you're going to see exactly why I have the Indiana Pacers with all of their talent missing the playoffs. Or should I say potentially missing the playoffs, because as we said, they do have the play-in tournament. Now, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. Let's go ahead and dive into the top 8 seeds. Coming in at number 8, I got the Atlanta Hawks. This is a team right here who I think is going to take the largest jump of all the teams who were lottery teams last year. Atlanta's going to take the biggest jump, man. This team right here, I love what they did over the summer. When you bring in a legitimate champion, as we've seen, playoff Rondo is real. And they brought playoff Rondo in to come in and back up young Trae Young. Young Trae Young. You get what I'm saying, to back up Trae Young. And so the young talent that he is, Rondo will be able to take him under his wing and help to actually truly maximize Trae Young's his potential, his being a general on the court, leading. Rondo, I think, can help him to do that. And so Rondo's going to help him off the court more so probably than even on the court, in the film room, studying, training, learning. He's going to help him there. So I think just getting Rondo is a big beneficiary, potentially even for when they get to the playoffs, but they didn't stop there. Bringing in Danilo Gallinari, bringing in Bogdan Bogdanovic, that was a big-time move. You get John Collins back. They still got Clint Capella. You got this Atlanta Hawks team is young. They're up and coming. They got shooters. They got scorers. They got defenders. Like this team right here, I'm not necessarily going to predict them to make any noise when they make the playoffs, but they are my pick to be that 8th seed and get into the playoffs. Now, as we're about to go into the top 7, once again, if you have questions, save them to the end. If you want to go ahead and make sure that your question gets answered, because I'm going to try to keep this video short. We're not going to have this as an extended, I don't want to go do an hour long. We'll probably try to keep it around maybe 30 minutes. So I may take about 5, maybe 10 questions at the end. If you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, hit that super chat. Any donations that you can send definitely helps the channel grow. If you don't have money to send, whether it's through PayPal and or through using a super chat, I totally understand. Here's a free way for you to support this channel and help to build this Ballaholic Nation. Just hit the like button. Hit the like. If you don't like what you're saying, hit the dislike button. Whether you hit like or dislike, it helps the algorithm for YouTube to understand to share this on the platform so that other people can see it and we can continue to build the Ballaholic Nation. So once again, if you want to support, a free way to do that, hit that like button, hit share. Also, If you can financially support it, we definitely appreciate all support. You can use a super chat to make sure to guarantee you get your question answered, or you can just donate through PayPal. But let's go ahead and jump right into the top 7. Coming in at number 7, this shouldn't be a surprise after the move that they made. This ground-shaking move, the Washington Wizards. You got Russell Westbrook and you got Bradley Beal together in the backcourt, which is the best backcourt in the game. I gotta have the Washington Wizards at number 7. That move right there. Listen, John Wall was good. He was good. Especially when he was healthy, he was really good. He was one of the top 5 point guards in the game. Russell Westbrook, still to this day, as maligned as he is, he's still a top 5 point guard in the game. And Russell Westbrook is a guy who you know is going to be on the court. He's going to be available, which is the best ability is availability. He's going to be on the court. He's going to give it his all every single game. And I think he can help make Bradley Beal better. As we saw, Bradley Beal average 30 points per game last year. He was the first player in NBA history to ever average 30 and not even make an all-star team. I think Bradley Beal, first of all, is going to be back in the All-Star game this year. I definitely think that. And I think Russ is going to be there as well. The Wizards, they got some young talent over there. Roy Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, they brought in Bertans. Listen, they've got talent over there, and I expect the Wizards to get back into the playoff picture. Now, moving over to number 6, this is where we start to, it's going to be some controversy with this. But as much as I love this team, to me, I think they got arguably a top 2 or 3 coach in the NBA. The talent is there. They're champions, a bunch of champions. But at number 6, man, I got the Toronto Raptors. I know my Raptor Nation fans out there are not gonna like hearing that, but I'm telling you, losing Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol is going to hurt this team's front line, especially as we start to talk about these other teams and the front lines that they have. I just don't think that Alex Len coming off that bench. I keep forgetting the big man that start. Well, I don't know what Aaron Baines and Alex Len. They brought in Chris Boucher is a backup big man who's going to get a lot more minutes. But Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, that core 3 has to elevate their game. As good as they were last year, it wasn't good enough. I know they were close. I know they were close to making the Eastern Conference Finals, but they didn't get it done. And this year they're still not gonna have the advantage of playing at Jurassic Park. They're gonna be down in Tampa playing. So I just don't like this situation for Toronto entering this year, where I think they'll be better than a top 5 seed. So I got them coming in at number 6. Now I could be wrong, but as of today, this is my prediction. Now let's go ahead and get into the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference. Here we go. Let's break this thing down. Now coming in at number 5, I got the Boston Celtics. Now I know Raptor fans are not going to like that, but let's be honest. Toronto proved in the playoffs that down the stretch they had better closers. When you're looking at Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart. But what they did was they went out there and proved in their weakest position, which was up front. They brought in Tristan Thompson. Now, Tristan Thompson, is he a superstar, an all-star? But not by any stretch of the imagination. But what Tristan Thompson does is he rebounds well. He's added somewhat of a jump shot. He's not a true stretch big man, but he can shoot a little bit. He's improved in that aspect. But he's going to give them better defense and better rebounding than the big men that they had last year. Now, not as good of a shot blocker as somebody like Robert Williams, but I think as a starter, he's going to elevate their big man position. And I think getting Gordon Hayward out there and replacing him basically with going with more size, I think that's going to help, man. I really think it's going to help. I think the addition of adding guys like Jeff Teague, I think this overall Boston team got better. And then speaking of Toronto, we know that young guys are going to get better. Like, for instance, the OG Anunobys will get better. The Pascal Siakams will get better. But let's be honest, let's be real here. Boston Celtics have even younger guys that have more talent that I think are going to take even higher leaps when you're talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think this Boston team is going to be better than Toronto this year, and I got them coming in at number 5. Now, let's kick it down to the top 4 seeds. This is where things get real tight, because this is where you start to separate. Because even, I'm going to be honest with you, Boston, even though I have them number 5, they're not I would consider a legit title contender. These next 4 teams are the teams that I think you're going to be seeing in that second round, teams that are going to be battling to get to that Eastern Conference Finals and all of them have a legitimate chance of making the NBA Finals. Coming in at number 4, I got the reigning Eastern Conference Finals champions, the Miami Heat. I got to go with Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. Matthews, what's going on, brother? I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, man. Thank you. Listen, I got to give it to the Miami Heat, man. I got to put them there. Think about this. This is a team that's bringing back Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo for a second year. In their first year together, they made the finals. Think about that. They made the finals their first year together. Now Butler is going to get an extended offseason with these guys. He's going to now, or not extended offseason, he's going to get another offseason with them. And now the young guys that surround these two core players are going to get better. We talked about how OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to get better, which they will. But the support guys for Miami, the Tyler Heroes, the Duncan Robinsons, the Kendrick Nunns, those young support guys, they'll get better. So you got two stars. Bam's going to continue to get better as well, but you got two Miami stars, and their support is getting better. Then you add in a vet like Avery Bradley, who, as we saw with him with the Lakers before the bubble came, and when they were during the season, we saw how critical of a role that Avery Bradley played. When healthy, Avery Bradley can still play. And they showed last year he's back to being healthy. That's a great addition. You got Goran Dragic coming back. This team right here, man, they kept Kelly Olynyk, Myers Leonard. They did lose Crowder, which I think will hurt them. I think it'll hurt them. And I think losing Crowder is actually a bigger loss than people really may give it credit for. But I've got this Miami Heat team as a legitimate contender out east, and I got them in number 4. But here's the cream of the crop. Here to me is the 3 teams that I think one of these 3, because even though I have Miami in that top 4 range, and I said this is the top contenders, now we're going to start narrowing it down to the teams that I think are have the best chance of actually making the NBA Finals. Let's pause for 1 second on that. Let's think about this. Coming in at number 3. This is probably going to be a big surprise to people. But this right here, this team is, I'm going to give it to you. This is my sleeper pick. This is not the team I think is going to have the best regular season record, but this is one of my sleeper picks to have a chance to come out of the Eastern Conference and actually make the NBA Finals. That's the Philadelphia 76ers. People are not giving the Sixers enough credit for how they remade their roster, man. Think about this. You upgrade your coach. Listen, everybody criticized Doc Brown for going out there, Doc Rivers for going out there and blowing a 3-1 lead. But let's be honest, he's a better coach than Brett Brown. He's a championship level coach. And when he won his championship, what did he have? He had elite shooting and he had elite defense. When that was Kevin Garnett and that was Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and Tony Allen. When he had that, Rajon Rondo, when he had that team, he won the championship. What does Philly have? What kind of move has Daryl Morey done to put a team around Doc Rivers? He gave him one of the best defensive big men in the game in Joel Embiid, one of the best defensive perimeter players in Ben Simmons. Then he surrounded those 2 core guys with shooters. Seth Curry, not Steph. Seth Curry is arguably the best shooter in the NBA. Now, I know Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, but his brother Seth, look at the percentages. Now, he takes less shots than Steph, but Seth Curry is, from a percentage standpoint, he's a better shooter than his brother. Once again, numbers can be deceiving because we do agree that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. But Seth Curry, on the limited attempts that he takes, he nails more than half of those shots. So when you add Seth Curry, then you add Danny Green, a legit 3-and-D champion. Danny Green is the only player out of all 450 players in the NBA. He's the only player to win back-to-back championships. He won in Toronto and then won with the Lakers. That's just him. Where he goes, when he was in San Antonio, he won championship. When he was in North Carolina, he won championship. Danny Green wins titles. I'm a Duke fan. I don't like Carolina guys, but I gotta respect guys that win chips. He is a contributor to championship teams. Danny Green bringing 3-and-D experience there. Then they didn't stop there. They brought in another champion from the Lakers, a big man to back up Joel Embiid. See, a lot of times when Joel Embiid would go out the game, the Philadelphia 76ers, the defense took a hit. Let's call it what it is. They took a hit. Not anymore. Not anymore. When you've got Dwight Howard, who was a show last year, he's still a legit rebounder. He's still a legit defender. Now, he's not the offensive player that he used to be. His athleticism isn't what it used to be, but he can still serve in 10, 20-minute spurts. He can still give you quality level defense that'll maintain what you're getting with Joel Embiid, even though he's not as good as Joel Embiid. So understand what I'm saying. I love that addition. Then you bring in guys like Tyrese Maxey. You still got young guys like Matisse Thybulle. You still got Tobias Harris. The only time Tobias Harris made an all-star team was when? With the Clippers. Who was the coach? Doc Rivers. So the core of what this team is put together, if they can stay healthy with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, if those guys stay healthy, do not be surprised if the Philadelphia 76ers make the finals. But let's move on to the top two. Number two, should be no surprise here. I'm going with, drum roll please, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets I have coming in at number two. Kyrie Irving, if you saw my video last week, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, that should say enough. You put those two guys together, you are an elite team. So I'm not going to go too much into that because you saw my video last week. I touched on why I love this team. I also touched on some of their question marks. Got to remember, for those who didn't see that video, some of their biggest question marks is the defense. Now, I saw something that was kind of surprising. In the preseason game, I thought they were going to start Karis LeVert. I thought they were going to go with a lineup of Irving, Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan. That's not what they did. They took Karis LeVert and made him the sixth man and put Spencer Dinwiddie in. I'm going to be honest with you. Steve Nash, I know he's a first-time head coach. I know Mike D'Antoni's the assistant coach, but he's, the de facto coach of this team. And we know there's not a lot of defense that these guys have ever played or really coached about. That, to me, is a terrible move. Let's call it what it is. I don't understand let's think about this. Who's the best perimeter defender on that Brooklyn Nets team that's starting out right now? Is it Kyrie? Is it Joe Harris? Is it Spencer Dinwiddie? I don't get that. To me, Karis LeVert is not an elite defender, but he's a better defender than all of those guys. So why wouldn't Spencer Dinwiddie be the sixth man instead of Karis LeVert? So I don't like that, but I think you got time to kind of work those adjustments out. Once again, the talent level of Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Now, we saw one thing we did see, Kevin Durant's back. If there was anybody who questioned, is his shot working? It's working. If anybody was questioning, could he put the ball in the court and get to the rack? You don't have to worry about that. He's back. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving, he showed he's healthy. He's still got the handle. He's got the jump shot. Listen, these guys are going to be elite. So I got them coming in at number two. But the number one seed has to be the Milwaukee Bucks. For the third year in a row, I'm going with the Milwaukee Bucks to be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Why? Listen, they arguably between Durant and Giannis, they got arguably the best player in the East. He's the reigning back-to-back two-time MVP. Now, I don't think he's going to win MVP this year. I don't think Giannis will get it this year, but I do expect the Milwaukee Bucks to have the best regular season because they kept, out of all of these teams, they kept their core together mostly. As far as like the top 3 to 4 teams, right? They didn't change a lot. Where they changed, I think, was an upgrade. That was switching out Eric Bledsoe for Drew Holiday. Holiday's going to make them a better defender, a better defensive team. And that's not a shot at Eric Bledsoe because he's a legitimate defender, but Drew Holiday's just better. And they get better from a playmaking, scoring, perimeter standpoint. I like this. And we saw Giannis just put it on record that he liked these moves that they made as well, that getting Drew Holiday was enough for him to say, you know what? I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I'm going to ink my name for not 1, not 2, but 5 more years. Now, I saw some criticism on social media from, and I'm going to call them knuckleheads, because anybody who has this type of mentality is a knucklehead. I saw knuckleheads criticizing, and some people even calling Giannis idiotic for signing a long-term deal, a long-term extension with Milwaukee, saying he's a loser, he doesn't want to win. Listen, folks, Giannis is the reigning back-to-back MVP who's been on a team that has won the most games in the Eastern Conference for 2 straight years. Now, he hasn't gone to a finals, so yes, it's still work to be done. He hasn't won a championship, so of course there's work to be done. But he's 26 years old. At the end of his contract, he's 31? He's still in his prime. He's now capitalized on generational wealth, and now he's positioned himself to where if he wants to go to another team, he can do that. So stop criticizing Giannis. It was a good move to secure the bag. He did that, and now the Milwaukee Bucks have their star, their superstar for the next 5 years. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, these other boys, DiVincenzo. It's time. Y'all gotta step up and play. Because Giannis is watching you now. He let the organization know, you don't have to worry, you don't have to panic, I'm here. And now we're starting to hear rumblings that there could be a potential trade in the works. we could be some interest from somebody over in the Western Conference that wants to come over there. Now, I'm not going to necessarily name any names, but some people call him the bearded one, who may decide he wants to join up with the Greek Freak. Now, listen, James Harden, to me, has a decision to make. Well, he and the Houston Rockets have a decision to make, because the top 3 teams that I picked, once again, is just to recap, for those who may have missed the start of this video. Coming in at number 15, I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coming in at 14, I got the Charlotte Hornets. At 13, I've got the Chicago Bulls. At 12, we're going with the New York Knicks. At 11, we got Detroit. At 10, I got Orlando. Coming in at number 9, I got the Indiana Pacers. At number 8, I've got the Atlanta Hawks. At 7, I've got the Washington Wizards. At 6, we went with the Toronto Raptors. At 5, I got the Boston Celtics. At 4, I got the Miami Heat. And the top 3 teams, Philly, Philly, Brooklyn, and Milwaukee, those are the top 3 destinations that James Harden has in mind. Let's be honest. Whichever team lands James Harden